Hello friends, I'm George, the nice smelling gentleman. Welcome back to the channel guys. I hope that all of you are doing good. Now this video is going to be about my first impressions on 4 of my latest fragrance purchases. The 4 fragrances in this video that I'm going to try and give you my first impressions about will be one from Maison Alhambra, artist number 1, one from Maison Asrar called Oud Intense, and 2 from Ard Al Zaafaran. One of them is called Dirham Limited Edition and the other one is called Satwa. I'm not going to do a full unboxing of each and every fragrance. A while back I started doing this. Whenever I receive a new fragrance, it's been delivered to me, I'll immediately open up the package just to see how the box has survived, all the traveling and the tossing around. And also I will immediately open up the box and try the fragrance itself, try the sprayer, because with Middle Eastern fragrances I've had the experience of receiving a few duds, a few fragrances that have non-working sprayers. So I want to immediately after receiving a fragrance, I want to test it out just to see if everything works, and if that fragrance needs to be returned, I can react in time. So with that out of the way, I'll show you the first fragrance that I'm going to try and talk about. It's from Ard Al Zaafaran and it's called Satwa. Now this thing, again, I'm not going to do full unboxing, just quickly show you the box and the actual bottle. Now I have a pretty good idea what to expect from each and every of those fragrances, but still, it's nice to test them out. The sprayer seems very nice. Now Satwa is supposed to be a clone of Nishane Ani, and I can definitely tell you that it is a clone of Nishane Ani, but the opening is slightly different compared to Ani. Ani is one of my favorite, if not my most favorite vanilla based fragrance. And this thing definitely has a lot of vanilla, but the opening is a lot brighter, a lot more citrusy compared to Ani. At least from what I can pick up right now. I also pick up some spices and the vanilla, but definitely this is a nice citrusy opening from Satwa. And so yeah, definitely a clone of Nishane Ani. If you enjoy my videos guys, but for some reason you're not yet subscribed to the channel, please consider hitting the subscribe button. It will really mean a lot to me. And also don't forget to hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of my future videos. Okay, the second fragrance that I'm going to test out is again from Ard Al Zaafaran and it's called Al Dirham. This is how the bottle looks, and this is the box looks, and this is how the bottle looks. Now people are comparing this to Chanel's Allure Home Sport, so let's see if that's the case here with this one. Another pretty decent sprayer, at least by the looks of it. Okay. Okay, so the opening here is very strong, very bright, very citrusy, and also very synthetic, I can tell you that much. There's a very strong sort of a lemon note in the opening of this fragrance. It's very harsh actually as well. It's also quite a bit sweet, and to be honest, yes, there are some similarities between this and the Allure Home Sport, but the opening I can't say that is very close to Chanel's fragrance. One thing I forgot to mention is the fact that after I try all 4, I'll give them about an hour and a half, and then I'll come back to see how the dry down works with all of them. But so far Al Dirham is not, I don't feel that this is very close to Chanel's Allure Home Sport. The next one that I'm going to try is from Maison Asrar and it's called Oud Intense. This is how the bottle looks. This bottle is 80 milliliters. All other fragrances in this video are actually, full size 100 milliliter bottles. And this thing has this, I don't know, this looks like an earrings that are flipping around. I'm not too impressed by them. Okay, so another very decent sprayer. And yeah, this thing is supposedly a clone of Dior Homme Intense. And I can definitely say that it is a clone of Dior Homme Intense. You can immediately pick up the, the closeness of this to Dior Homme Intense. Now it's slightly different in the opening, Dior Homme Intense, Dior Homme Parfum, the original Dior Homme. They are my favorite scents and I know them really well. So when I sniff something that is a clone of those fragrances, I can immediately pick it up. Now this thing feels a little bit fresher in the opening. Also, it lacks a bit of the sweetness from Dior Homme Intense. And maybe this is slightly more spicy in the opening. Feels kind of lighter and slightly fresher take on the Dior Homme Intense DNA. But definitely smells pretty similar to Dior Homme Intense. And the last one that I'm going to try is from Maison Alhambra, and it's called Artist Number 1. And this thing, if you look at the bottle, you'll guess what this is. This is a clone of Frederick's Male Portrait of a Lady. This one is an easy one. Okay, let's see this one in action. Again, another very good sprayer. Okay, so now Portrait of a Lady is a very rose forward fragrance, and Artist Number 1 seems to be very close to that. The opening is very heavy on that rose note. I pick up something fruity, maybe something like a raspberry note or something like that. There are some spices, and there's also quite a bit of incense. It's quite smoky, woody as well, but you know, that smoky vibe is quite strong, and this thing smells like you're walking into a church, if that makes any sense. Really strong stuff, at least it seems to be pretty strong. Okay, so about 90 minutes have passed since I sprayed them on the tester strips, you know, all 4 fragrances, and I'll start with the dry downs in the same order that I began the video. The first one is Satwa. As I said, this thing is a clone of Nishane Ani. Now the opening felt a little bit fresher and a little bit more spicy compared to the original scent. But now about 90 minutes later, you know, in its dry down, this is definitely a lot closer to the original scent. Now the vanilla is a lot stronger, you know, compared to the beginning. Although this still feels kind of fresher compared to the original fragrance. But all in all, the dry down is pretty close to the original scent. So Satwa, at least for the moment, seems to be a very good clone of Ani. Okay, the next one is Ard Al Zaafaran. And this thing, as I said, is supposedly a clone of Chanel's Allure Homme Sport. And I can definitely say that, you know, Ard Al Zaafaran have not done a very good job if they try to clone the original scent. This thing still, even in the dry down, feels fresher and feels sweeter compared to, you know, Allure Homme Sport. Yes, now on the dry down it gets closer to the original scent, but still, you know, this thing I don't think is very close to the original scent. But one thing I can say for sure is that this thing will probably be a performer, because even 90 minutes later this still, you know, smells pretty strongly of the tester strip. The third one is Oud Intense from Maison Asrar, and this thing, as I said, is a clone of Dior Homme Intense. And on the dry down it actually gets closer to the original scent. The opening here felt a little bit fresher and you know, a little bit more spicy maybe. Now the dry down is more on the sweet territory and it's closer to Dior Homme Intense. But I think on the dry down it's actually a little bit sweeter compared to the original scent and feels a little bit more woody. But definitely another good thing when it comes to how close it actually smells to the original scent that it copies. And the last one is Artist Number 1 from Maison Alhambra. And this thing is a clone of Portrait of a Lady. And the dry down seems to be closer to the original scent. Again, on the dry down, the rose still is the more dominant note, but it feels a little bit sweeter compared to the opening. There's some amber sweetness here on the dry down. That smoky vibe from the beginning is still there, but it's slightly less powerful compared to the opening. And all in all, it's quite woody as well, and definitely this will be a good fragrance for the people who love rose-based fragrances. And so guys, in today's video I shared with you my initial impressions on 4 of my latest fragrance purchases. One from Maison Alhambra called Artist Number 1, one from Maison Asrar called Oud Intense, and 2 from the house of Ard Al Zaafaran. The first one called Satwa and the second one called Ard Al Zaafaran. All of them seem to be interesting fragrances, and at some point I'll do my full review on all 4 of them. I hope that you found this video interesting. If you did, give it a like, and I also hope that you're going to join me in my next video. And until then, stay safe and bye bye.